So this is a follow along beginner leg strength workout done with absolutely no equipment. I am out in the park, it is -6 degrees, so it's going to be a short one. I'm going to be gradually taking clothes off as I warm up. But speaking of warm-ups, you want to be moving for about 5 or 10 minutes, running up and down some stairs, doing some push-ups, some general movement, get your heart rate up, get that body temperature up a little bit before you get into this workout. But I'm going to get straight into it. Let's do it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chase. I like to share things that can help you prepare your mind, your body and your gear for the mountains, whether you're a hiker or a mountaineer or a skier. This workout is going to help you. This is all bodyweight stuff. I'm out here in Oslo in Norway, freezing my butt off to show you guys some of the most crucial bodyweight movements to produce uphill power, to stabilize your hips and to strengthen your legs in general for the outdoors. So our first move here is a slow step down. This is essentially a pistol squat. As hikers, we spend a lot of time on one leg, so this is a really useful move for producing stability through the knee. You can tell by my knee shaking all over the place there. I'm just fixing my shoes here. You want to press through your heel here. It's important that we're driving through the heel onto the bench. We don't want to have the heel come up. If you do, you've probably got some issues with ankle mobility. If that's the case, I've got a whole series on ankle mobility that I'll link up above. So I'm doing it pretty quickly, probably because I want to get this over and done with, but you want to really slow this down as much as possible. If this is too difficult for you, what you can do is lower the height of the step. Maybe start with something that's just, the average height of a step and work up from there. So our next move is more focused on the posterior chain, so in this case the hamstrings, and this is essentially a deadlift, and I think it's probably one of the most useful single leg lower body moves because the hamstrings often get forgotten unless you're doing a lot of Romanian deadlifts. And if you're a hiker, you're probably not into going in the gym, so this is a great move that you can use to build stability in the knee, to build confidence in your knee by strengthening the hamstring and that whole posterior chain. So we want to again keep the heel on the ground, maybe grip through your big toe. If you're doing this barefoot, it's obviously not the day for me to do it barefoot, but great to try this out barefoot. You can see that I'm got my hands behind my back there. That starts forcing me to keep my chest open and roll my shoulders back, and that's a good indication that you're going a little bit too low in the move. Mobility and depth in this movement will come over time, but just go as far as you can whilst keeping your back straight for now until you build some more mobility, and you'll eventually be able to get much lower down. So they are our first two moves, the A1 and A2, and you can repeat these two for 2, 3 or 4 rounds, working with the rep ranges that I've given you before we move on to the next set, Group B. But if you want to follow along all the way to the end and repeat this whole video, that's totally cool as well. Let's jump into our next move. This is a Bulgarian split squat. So if you've been following these videos for a while, you might notice that I've changed my tune on this exercise a little bit. I used to have my front foot really far out, but I've since learnt that it's much better to keep the foot closer to the bench so we can really focus on developing the quadriceps in that working leg and not have to feel the hip stretch that happens when you really step out too far. So again, this is another single leg move, really good for balance. With that back foot, you can either choose to have your toes up like I've got mine here, or you can have them flat. Really just up to you and what the situation is, what you're more comfortable with doing. The main focus here is that we're building strength through the quad and we're building that stability and balance through this single leg move. Our next exercise is a half tuck squat. This is a regression of the side to side squat, which I showed in one of my other videos. This is a great way to get used to being in this lower position, really far out, lunging laterally can be really challenging for the hips initially. And it's also great for building strength in the legs without having a squat rack or doing any weighted squats. Because we're really relying on one leg, it's demanding so much more than just a regular squat. Now, I'm not going very deeply here because I just wanted to demonstrate to those of you who are beginners that you can get a lot of benefit from this movement just by going that partial distance until you have built the mobility to go deeper. Check out this view. We're looking over the Oslo Fjord. This is such a great place to do a little outdoor workout. So again, you can repeat exercises B1 and B2 for 2, 3, maybe 4 rounds. Let's get into group C. Now we're working on time under tension, which is one of the key principles of building strength. So here, you've probably seen this move before, but what we're doing is really slowing it down. I'm taking about 3 seconds, or at least I should be, to do the lowering phase of this exercise. And that means we're getting a longer time where our muscle is under tension. So this is one of the key things, if you don't have weights, that you can simply extend the time that the muscle is under tension in the move. So in essence, what I'm saying is that you can still build strength without weights just by slowing down a movement and being under tension for a longer period of time. Now, I didn't notice this at the time, but I'm getting some weird looks. These Norwegians are like, who is this Australian guy wearing shorts, working out in the snow? What is he doing? Yeah, I get some weird looks when I'm in Oslo because I do stuff like this. I love the cold. Being Australian, I've had to get used to it, but I've done a few things that have allowed me to be much more comfortable in the cold. And honestly, that's really helped with mountaineering and just becoming more comfortable in the higher mountains, especially during the winter. Definitely planning on sharing with you guys some cold tips in the future, so hang out for that video. I'll link it up here when it's done. This is a reverse hyper. You may not have seen it before. This is a move that feels pretty easy the first time you do it, and you might be inclined to do more reps, but I'm telling you, if you haven't done this move before, don't do more than sort of 10 or 15 reps, because tomorrow your lower back is going to be seized the fuck up. You're not going to be able to get out of bed, believe me. So if this is your first time, just go easy on yourself. Maybe test it out with like 8 to 10 reps and start slow, because this is training your posterior chain in a way that it probably hasn't been done before. If you're game, you can hold for that extra 5, 10, 15 seconds at the end of the rep to really solidify that position. I couldn't make a hiking strength workout without throwing in some calf raises. Obviously, these are important. Our calves get absolutely toasted, especially if you're a mountaineer wearing crampons on vertical ice. It's all about how much endurance you have in your calves. So this is a really basic calf raise exercise. I'll throw a couple of other more difficult ones into the PDF that you can check out if you like, but here we're just going into deficit. So I'm standing on the edge here, trying to push my heels low so we get a nice stretch through the calves as well, and then I'm coming up as high as I can. Great for balance as well, and building stability in the ankles by doing your calf raises on a step with no support. Personally, I do way more calf stretching than I do strengthening, just because of the way I'm set up, but there's loads of different variations. Okay, I'm going to add a little finisher here. I didn't plan on doing this. This is something that I just come up with on the spot. I'm calling it a squat jump hold ladder. If you're not super comfortable with squat jumps yet, I wouldn't recommend doing this on a big box like this. You can do it with smaller steps, maybe on a set of stairs. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm doing 10 squat jumps, but each time I'm holding an isometric pause at the top of the box a little bit longer. So right now I'm doing 4-5 seconds, and then each time I come up onto the box I hold an extra second at the bottom and at the top as well. So now this is starting to get difficult. I'm only probably just clearing the step as I come up. But I don't know why I chose to do this. This is definitely biting off more than I can chew. I actually kind of have a fear of squat jumps. When I was a kid, I jumped up onto this brick ledge. I was trying to challenge myself a little bit. I landed on my shins and broke both my shins. Since then, I've had to kind of rebuild my confidence and maybe take a few less risks when it comes to jumping up on stuff. But yeah, I got through that trauma okay. I came out the other side. Last one, trying to flap my wings to get to the top of the step there. And last 10-second hold. And now we're done. Okay. Alright, let's check out this overview. You can screenshot this tab and get a clear idea of what we're doing in the session here. So there is a lot of information that I couldn't squeeze into this video, such as extra progressions, things I did on the day, and then more detailed videos and progressions for all these movements. With the help of this PDF, you can really take this one session and develop a very solid leg strength program. If you're a hiker or a mountaineer, you don't need to be able to deadlift 700 pounds. You just need to be confident and capable of carrying your weight and the weight of your backpack through some tricky terrain and doing that for a long distance. If you want to hang out with me for a few more minutes, I'm going to head home and answer one of the most common questions that I know is going to pop up in the comment section of this video. Just while I'm on the way home here, I have to answer the inevitable question, which is how often should I be doing this workout? Well, the answer to that is you should do this workout sort of 2 or 3 times a week for about 6 weeks, and let's call that like a strength phase. So it's better to think about your training in phases, because that now allows you to progress. And the whole reason you're doing this is to progress, right? So in order for you to progress, you need to be going through different phases, from strength through endurance to power. So yeah, it's less useful to think about, how often you're doing some session, and more useful to think about the phases in which you're going through in your training. If you continue to do this workout for the next 6 months, you're kind of constantly working on strength, which is good. But if you're training for the mountains, you probably want to transition to endurance at some stage. So this workout is not something that you would want to do, 3 or 4 days a week for the rest of the year. This is something you want to kind of phase in and out and progress. This is a fairly basic bodyweight workout, and there is progressions for these exercises to make this stuff much more difficult. So you want to think not just about how many times you want to do this workout, but how can I progress past this workout so that it's no longer really difficult for me. Once you have developed some more strength, and you've done this for 6 weeks and you've proven to yourself that you've gotten stronger, then you want to move into doing more endurance-based workouts. So those endurance-based workouts are going to involve a lot more reps. You'll notice in this session we were only doing sort of 8 reps for most exercises. So that means we're in that sort of strength building rep range. Whew. Legs feeling a little wobbly on the downhill after that session. So it was good. I am going to walk home and enjoy this little walk through the forest. Thanks for following along with me. If you like the video, hit the like button, and I hope to make some more videos like this, probably at home back in Barcelona. So if you want to see some more stuff like this, let me know. I'll see you on the summit.